are attacking the central camp. Romulans are attacking from the south.
Drop a solar gateway there.
That's always looked
Romulans are
really
attacking
cool.
from the south.
How much damage does it actually do?
Not much, but it sort of will do that little bit when you're dead, which is handy.
Yeah.
Romulans are attacking from the south.
As
There we go.
soon as I move, it's going to be over here.
Romulans are attacking from the south. And Martin and Hippie are covered over there. Cool.
Romulans are attacking from the west.
My character is really not one to fire.
Oh, that don't look good.
The Romulans have
I'm over on what? Over there somewhere.
Oh. Server not responding. There we go. Server not responding again. Okay. Well, I think I'm about to get dropped out of this.
You're leaving me to die, is what you're saying?
I can't do anything. Yep, connection to server timed out. Please try again later. Let me try switching. Okay. There, I can actually shoot now.
Oh god.
Yeah, I managed to jump over the wall and get into the centre part.
I normally get dead pretty quickly after I do that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, done it again. That's it. My paradox is cooled down now. Means I can use that. That'll work. I need to put more survival on the ground. I need to just throw some traits on. I was running around with no traits.
I didn't think that actually worked.
What'd you do?
We're just being stupid.
Dive
Jumping
back.
to try and shoot over the wall.
It does work. Right, I want that one for everyone. Let's have these two.
Oh, this tune does have the Zenkethi gun thing.
What are you doing then? Why aren't you using that?
Oh, I don't have the 3-piece though. Feels bad. So this gun has a 12-second fully rapid fire mode.
Nice.
It is great. I picked it up during a Lobi sale when it was, what would ground weapons be, like 20 or 25 Lobi?
Yeah, I think we're 30.
Yeah. The 50 off, they were 25, I think. It was ridiculous.
Drill shot down. Which drill? This one.
I'm assuming this one.
Where's the consoles? Okay, we've got to kill these guys.
Ow.
Good for you, reptile mutant.
Oh no, I just can't trust the Gordon that's not in the pink.
I know, I just keep thinking of, you know, it's just all booze and tunes, every single one of them.
Yeah.
Is that why you're so adamant about shooting everyone in the back?
You may be immune to weapons fire, but you're not immune to fire. Is that one of the ways to get around the knuckle shield? Is set light to them. Or freeze them.
Hmm.
Yeah, it gets around that immunity to all energy damage.
I shut down the subconsole.
If anyone is unfamiliar with this queue, or with the Nakul on the ground in general, you have to kill those distortions before you can actually kill the real dude.
Yeah, I'd say the only other way to do that is to do the fire or cold damage.
Beaming up also works.
Yeah. Also gets you
That's more
an
of the
independently.
avoidance technique. Doesn't actually kill them, it just makes
So
it
like,
so the
like there,
killing.
he was immune to my weapons fire, but I locked him down with a paradox bomb and then endothermic. Or do you know it's exothermic? Like he's immune as well, but oh, I need to heal. No, too late. I need to put that on a button so that I can heal faster.
Ooh, what the hell hit me?
Oh, I'm down.
Everyone just died.
Yeah, I think
Alright,
I think
regroup.
we were standing where the plasma,
Yeah,
you know,
I
that
was out
plasma
of the
fire
way.
shoots up.
Oh.
I think I was standing where it shot up.
I'm not
Damn it,
back
Martin, you
over
give me bad luck.
there.
Don't worry, my triple will be like though.
Realize how many injuries I have.
They're not buffs, Kirby. Noob.
They make me stronger. Okay, I healed all but one. Combat exhausted.
At least I got a VR out of that.
Congratulations, Admiral.
I
Nice.
gotta go heal.
I got a uncommon.
Rip.
Mhm.
Nicely done. Yeah, good on the
I got a
mark.
sick bay on my ship, don't I?
HSC.
Yeah, in a moment. I need to just get a drink quickly.
Oh, Karma typed into stream chat.
I just saw that, and you know, if you have any loved ones that are out on the road, you should
Pray.
call them, tell them, you know,
Yeah, look out for
not to be doing that
this
anymore.
Semi-truck.
Alright, Captain Dragon is having some problems with the stream, so give me a second and I will send him a link. He might have called us while we were partway through. Right, I'm going to get a drink. I will be back in a second.
Karma's gonna have to invest in one of those expensive, fancy cameras that can see in the dark. All right, so we're gonna have Ed and Blett. And we'll invite Karma. Ah, he accepted it.
What I was gonna do.
Oh, good timing. Super good.
What, are you back from work already?
No, I'm getting ready to leave.
Gotta call
Early.
off, man.
extremely soon. Like extremely soon.
Don't
You caught me,
be
like,
late.
right soon. Like, doesn't matter when I get started, but you know, I was getting started here.
You see what Boozin said?
Dude, 10K. Yeah, probably time to update that.
Oh, it feels bad, man. Is that what I am to Martin, a number in HSC? Is that how I'm labeled in his fucking friends list?
Yeah.
Fucking feels bad, man.
Yep, I remember when Hippie first started doing runs with us, and it was like 210K in HSE, and that was like the upper limit, man. And it's not like that anymore. Now he was trying to break the HSC record right before the fucking stream.
I'm like 10K off. I got damn close.
Where's my Juggernaut hippie?
Where's your Juggernaut? I haven't won a promo ship yet. I told you.
Hippie has a Juggernaut. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, where's mine though?
Oh, you need to obtain
Where's my
one.
1.2 billion S?
You never log into the game, man.
I
Yeah,
log
it's
in
kinda on
every
you.
single day. I log in generally twice a day. Okay. I just
There's
don't
no.
And
join voice
what
chat.
do you do during that game? During that time?
I queue up Admiralty and I refine dilithium.
And
And
get
do you
reported.
do anything else?
Nope.
And
I
get
queue up
reported
fleet
for
projects. I queue up.
that.
Yep, and it gets banned. Don't let them lie to you.
Yeah, and I get wrongfully banned. That
And gets
yeah.
banned.
Is Brett still in
banned.
charge of the
Wrongfully
bank?
banned. I was
Yeah.
unbanned right away
No.
as soon as they understood anything. But you know, I'll leave it there.
It just occurred to me that I can't take a knee for this because I'm streaming.
Yep.
It'll have to be Brett. We have to pick you up for the next one, dude, because Riker's got to go to bed and Karma's got to go reduce the surplus population.
Why do I get the feeling that Karma feels like he's playing Carmageddon live? While he's
Pretty accurate.
That's
Pretty accurate.
a euphemism for a Karma driving around murdering people in his 18-wheeler, then yes.
You've never heard of the game Carmageddon?
I would only imagine it has to do with Karma murdering things.
I think
Okay.
Ross's game dungeon covered it.
Welcome back, and I think that's the name of Karma's special YouTube channel for accidents, isn't it?
No. Carmageddon is an old video game.
I know.
It's an old racing game. There's basically 3 ways to win each round. One is to actually do the race, run the laps, you know. One is to literally destroy all of your opponents via crashing into them, etc. And the third way is to basically hit as many pedestrians as you can.
Martin.
You gotta kill everyone on the map.
I'm on a rapid fire skim right now. I can either stay on this, move to my jug, or I can tune over to my tank. You want me to tune to my tank? Okay. It's like you invited this too, and I hope you realize.
Well, we could try without a tank.
We did that earlier.
What
Did not go that well.
No, alright.
I mean, it went well, but
it could be better.
Could be better. Could be better with the tank. Instead of someone gimping their Juggernaut to run carrier wave.
Yeah,
and then
that's
just stealing DPS from everyone else.
I've just been PM'd by KDF Rom 8 Captain Dragon. If you're watching the stream, I know you just messaged me about the stream. When we finish, I will have some time. If you want to jump on our Discord, just hopefully, Martin, have you got the links for Discord up there? If not, I'll drop it into the stream chat. You can jump on, you can catch us in there. You don't need a microphone, you can PM me in there. Oh, you need the details.
Fuck. Boozing past its bedtime. Nice.
What's that? 5:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, something like that. No, it's really actually he should be around 8:30, but still.
No,
He's
I
up
mean,
late.
let's be honest. It's whenever Price is Right is over.
Yeah.
Can you
His
blame
favourite
him?
show, isn't it? He sits there going through loads of online catalogs just so he can get the price right.
It's that and Antiques Roadshow. It's his favorite one.
All right.
I'm ready.
Ready?
Ready?
Should I be running Cold Hearted?
Don't know. I'm running it currently.
Who else in the group?
Try running without it. Just try running without it. I'll run it, and because of the spacing, I can pretty much hit every target on both sides now, like
All right.
consistently.
So you said ready, but you weren't actually ready because you had a question. Typical.
I know. I'm a
You need to-
scumbag.
You need to go strike a walrus. You need to get your mojo back.
Yeah, definitely need to
Here.
attack a walrus.
Here, I'll be nice since it's fucking. There you go.
What?
Oh,
Ooh, new
Twitch Prime.
subscriber. Woohoo. Happy.
I don't have a Twitch account, or I would. I don't have Facebook. I don't have a bank account. I pretty
Literally
much
throwing my money away.
do not trust the government. I'm one of those people.
On that note, did you read the new privacy thing that Perfect World and all Cryptic and all that shit put out the other day?
No,
You should have got an email.
I don't read those. What was it?
Copyright
Basically.
infringement.
Basically.
Can I
how
start
they're
us into the queue?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Ready.
Please.
Yeah.
Basically, they're just gonna turn your camera on now, even if the game's closed.
Yeah, it's about basically how they'll collect your information and which third parties they share it with and how they would do it and where they're grabbing information at and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're basically like grabbing your browser information and all sorts of other shit. Blah blah blah.
So all those people that are worried about these new changes to the copyright laws move to the UK because we've just left the EU. We're not bound by the new law of the EU. We haven't brought in our own copyright laws. So fair usage is still in practice in the UK.
You haven't left the EU yet.
Yeah, but the law comes into effect next year. We would have left technically.
Maybe. Who knows?
Technically today. It's the 29th for me now. But yeah, it'll be soon. So we won't actually implicate that law, or sorry, enforce that law, or put it on a statute. But we'll probably come up with something equally more draconian, like every single pixel and every single photon and electron leaving your computer has to have another photon waving a red flag in front of it as it travels down the Ethernet cable or something.
How are we splitting this? I'm guessing Martin and Hippie right. Me and Karma left.
There's no longer a right side.
Sounds made up.
Yeah, that kind of really isn't.
That's a good point. If we're not worried about the jump, we could do this run from the standard positioning, but
You have to move a little bit more left to make sure you flank.
Yeah.
Yep. Hippie point.
Yeah, that's kind of
that's
I'm
what I was
sitting
just
over here.
thinking. Yeah.
I just don't want to
Then-
get stuck behind that big block of metal over there. Is the only reason I positioned where I
I know
did.
this ain't probably the best time to experiment, but do y'all want to actually kind of move over here to see what would happen?
No.
I have tried over at Hippie's Point where he is, and that really screwed up the run for everyone when the Psy was over there.
Tonight.
Yeah, I'm the tank though. So
Yeah, I'm sort of better off in this position, round about what I would say is the going in from the number 3 to the number 5 cube.
And Martin, you have to push in a lot, more right off the start.
yeah, you need to hug that
Yeah.
fucking cube. If you're not touching it, you're fucking up on this new map. You need to be
Pretty
touching
much.
it.
I'm ready.
Touching what? What is that?
The
5?
cube.
What the hell?
You gotta be touching cube.
You gotta be touching the cube.
Touching Q.
Wow.
Make it fill you.
Hold on, let me start my parser and shit.
If it doesn't know you have the ribs on your fucking ship, you're fucking up, Martin, alright? Like, you need to make it fill it.
It'll know about them.
Alright, that's good.
Alright, are we...
I
doing?
am ready. Papa Juggernaut.
Ready.
Hippie?
Ready?
Okay.
Yeah, I was just...
Martin, you ready? Hey, you want to call it or you want me?
No, you can call it.
Alright, you ready?
I'm ready.
Alright, start buffing. Start your engines. Going 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, Riker,
You know,
you're breathing.
yeah, if I stop breathing, I will die. I mean, it's up to you.
Okay.
Oh, there's a queue back behind. Okay.
Oh,
What cube?
2?
Yeah.
Yeah, too.
Okay.
You
Whoa! Awesome. Fuck.
Whoa, Riker, damn, where the...
Dude, I just lagged out. This is the shit I'm talking about, dude.
I know, fucking
It's
hell.
fucking driving me nuts, dude. I swear to God, if I could punch this game in the cunt, I fucking would.
Fair enough.
Damn it. Fucking sick of this shit. Devs, if you listen, fix the fucking game. You suck at it. Sorry, Ed.
Right. I've heard worse.
I am
Well, that was
sorry.
close.
I know this is your fucking shit, but I'm really bad right now.
Time for white out.
Seriously, sorry.
So I'm showing that one 380 to it, Martin. I can't see my fastest too small.
I'll paste it into stream chat. I was watching for the subnuke icon because I really wanted to see how this works, and I did not see it.
Yeah, if we can quickly form, I got time for like one more, but we gotta like really kind of get in.
Yeah, I'm
Otherwise,
down
I
to try
think-
one more.
Okay,
Yeah.
go for it.
Hey, what
Thank you.
ship were you guys using in that?
We're using different ships. I was in an Eternal. 3 were in the new Juggernaut, and Hippie was in a fleet battle cruiser.
Fleet
What
Eclipse
Jugger-
Intel
Fleet
Cruiser.
Eclipse Intel. There you go.
What Juggernaut was it?
The last one.
Vaadwaur Miracle Worker Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Most
Okay.
OP ship in the game.
Depends on what you're doing, but yeah.
Well, true.
Yeah, that's the way it usually works. Captain Dragon, my DPSs at the start will spike up, will hold at over 1.2 million, but using Torps and Exotic, I do suffer a big drop off. So if the tax can get the cube down faster, my DPS is higher. And if we get the pickles down even quicker, then it's higher. It's the same for most sides that run Torp Exotic builds. They do suffer that big drop off. Tax get it as well from their great big alpha at the start. Go and have a look at some of the hive passes at the SCM. Just download them and have a look at the charts. I'm good to go as well, by the way.
Oh yeah, ready.
Same.
Yeah, I'll just give some feedback. I got my damage where I was running up there. It's 1.2 million for a while.
And thank you for reforming quickly. I'm trying to be out of here by 9.
All right, what's we called Draco? Yeah, Draco. We do hit hard. We've been doing this for a while. Temple operations proudly boast top of the DPS leagues in most of the maps. But we do it all for fun. We have fun while we're doing it. Apart from Riker.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Riker didn't sound like he was having fun at all.
No, I'm not today, nor have I been since.
His punishment is our enjoyment.
Yeah.
Are we that evil? Yes.
Of course we are. Hello, Nutter.
Yo.
What's going on?
Okay. I understand there's now some changes to Hive, which makes it so you don't blow up as often.
That's right. If you go to the stream, you'll actually see us. We've just jumped into a hive now. We're about to run an elite. You've got about 30 seconds before we start. You can go and have a look and see what the map's like.
But
we are running with
different.
Well, probably the 3 of the top damaging players in game.
That updated layout felt very strange.
You sort of think that you're in the wrong place when the pickles are going to come in. I thought I was actually closer to 1 than 2.
Yeah, it's a lot more elongated out. That's why I'm trying to come in from the back now so that they attack me and kind of like hold there instead of moving away. Because we had one where we finished it and we were, like 15 kilometers out from the closest pickle? Just, ooh.
Did everybody like the floofy tongue dog? He's got a floofy tongue.
I think I'm going to try to change my specializations after this for my tank. I think I'm going to swap over to pilot primary.
For that wingman and shit like that, or what?
The lone wolf and everything.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
I think I'm gonna run that. Then I'm gonna switch back to strategist as my secondary.
Well, would we get benefits from your constable or whatever the frick it is?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Depends on the wording.
Yeah.
Karma, have you not serviced your cat again?
I'm not gonna recognize him.
How are we looking?
Just kidding, bro. Don't take it for
1 sec. More batteries on. Good.
So you're not gonna recognize Seda the cat?
Me.
Who? Don't know who you're talking about.
Are we all ready?
Yeah.
Sooner the better. Sooner the better.
Sooner the better.
Yep.
Is it?
Yep.
Martin, ready?
Ready.
Yep, ready.
All right. Start buffing. Start your engines. Go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Ooh, big fucking lag spike. I'm not even
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's why the ship's called the Exotic.
Oh shit. Try to heal you guys. I just had a misfire on one of my abilities. Oh dear.
I don't even know how I'm gonna bring this one back. I'm gonna like do this. It's gonna be like a 210 run at this.
There's still a cube behind us. I'm gonna go back for it. Try to get it. Got it. All right. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
It wasn't much health, but
So this is gonna put us on 2.
it'll put us closer to 2. Yeah.
I'm kind of angling my ship for 2 anyway. I'm on 2. Back. That kind of helped.
Turn. Yeah. That was my own fault that time. I accidentally used my proc.
Marking it. Nice shield prop. Feedback's up.
Yeah, that's gone.
Feedback's
Got
gone.
debuffed.
That new slowdown is just so nice on feedback.
Yeah, that would have been toast. That would have been it. Oh boy.
This is not the end.
Yeah. It's,
What we end up
it's a lot
with.
better when you don't see, watching your friends just suddenly go pop, 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 before you realise the feedback's up.
Oh, Yoaski's rating.
Yup.
Oh no!
What we end up with. I had a pretty abysmal start.
245 for you.
Yeah, I figured it was something low. Yeah, it was. Alright, guys, thank you so much for the runs. I
No
will
problem. No problem. You're welcome.
see you tomorrow.
Later,
Yep, you
dude.
look. Have fun.
Later,
Is
Karma. Take
Is
lots of
everyone out of
pictures.
the map?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright.
Low light camera fund.
Later, guys.
Catch you later, Karma.
Later.
Later, man.
Better.
All right.
That was a much better run.
I felt like it took a lot more aggro. 85. I can live with that.
I haven't looked at the numbers yet for that run.
Yeah, it feels weird, man.
Does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's so much easier to tank now because even if you take like a large amount of damage, it's spread out over the course of the entire first phase now instead of the peak at the beginning.
It does feel quite strange with the way the map's laid out as well. It's just getting used to it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chemosite's currently broken, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I've stopped using Chemosite ages ago in favour of an attack pattern on this build.
Yeah.
All right, Ed. What do you want to do?
Well, it's go through your stream, really, isn't it? Well, you're the one that's streaming, so it's go through your build. Well, we've only just been raided, so I think what we need to do is one more hive just to show people your ship in action, so they see it from your point of view, and then we go through the build and you can explain the loadout you've got and why you've got it like that, and the advantages. I mean, you can almost probably talk your way through the hive as well.
I mean, with the new pace of Hive, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a
Just-
6-man group.
Talk about the
Oh, wait, who
advantages,
did I
but not
pick
the
up that was extra?
disadvantages, Ed.
What are we doing? Oh, we're doing more?
Yeah, I think we're going to do one more so Martin can show his build on the stream in action, and then we're going to go through and
Alright.
actually show what the film is. Yeah, that happens sometimes. It does happen. That'll correct itself. In fact, it already has done so. Yay!
I just saw Boozin's
All right.
name online, and I just invited him.
Like you do automatically.
Well, and there's a name that's on the list that's not traditionally on the list. I'm not
That's
gonna
true.
name any names, but I might highlight it.
We're not going to mention Brett.
That'd be a rude thing to do.
What to mention?
Never
Brett?
heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like halfway through the
okay.
hive, someone reported he'll get banned. Go down to 4 players.
Why is Brett doing it?
Yeah, see that everyone knows. Everyone knows these things.
Yeah.
So
I
what?
don't think
what
I
we-
can see the
we
stream.
gotta report him again?
Sorry?
Are we reporting him again? Or?
Yeah, we might as well.
Yeah,
Might
it
as-
seems,
might as
For not
well.
running a jug and hive, yeah.
seems like the right thing to do.
Man.
Missy Time Lord says somewhat belated lol at Yawoski was saying good night to chat and was typing whoop icon raid and then his phone had a flip. But welcome anyway. Alright, I'm ready, Martin. Martin's in control of the stream tonight, so I'm going to shut up.
Everybody else ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We're ready.
Go for it.
I'm going to try that same entrance again on left.
And if Yawoski is still here, I'll have to have a chat with him and tell him about my afternoon at a barbecue with John Pertwee. Because I know he's a bit of a Doctor Who fan.
You had a barbecue with John Pertwee?
Yeah, I knew John Pertwee's nephew.
I get a feeling there's a story here.
No, I just got invited to go and have a barbecue with my friend, and he mentioned that his uncle was there, who's John Pertwee, and I spent the afternoon chatting to John Pertwee, basically. It was a nice, pleasant afternoon.
How long ago was this? I mean, I think the man's been dead for a few years.
1995.
23 years.
God.
Yep. 23
oh,
years ago.
God.
He was my favourite Doctor Who as well.
23 years?
I
Yeah, you
know.
couldn't save him. So we could
No.
all enjoy it.
No,
Bastard.
I know.
I'm sorry. Mine was my favorite one was Tom.
Yeah, oh yeah, but Tom Baker was my Doctor Who when I was growing up. But have you not noticed my Discord name's got even in the middle of it?
Tom Baker was the one I grew up with as well.
Which doctor was the one that looks like Robert Plant? And he always had like the scarf.
That's him.
Tom Baker.
There
Tom
was
Baker.
quite a few
Okay.
scarves.
Gives you jelly babies.
Yeah.
They look like Robert
Jelly baby.
Plant.
The Jelly Babies were originally a carryover, I believe, from Patrick Troughton's character.
Correct. But he sold it better.
I like John Pertwee, and Peter Davison I really liked as well.
They were all fun. I mean, it wasn't until after, I think, the one with the jelly babies died. I mean, he as in like his character died. I think that's where it started to go downhill.
Well, the other one as well, when people don't like Colin Baker, the one that was really horrible. But when you actually think that he was a bad reincarnation that was slightly insane, he played the character brilliantly. He was like an evil version.
I would start at 14, Martin.
Start
Just
at
the way we have to
14K.
push up.
So
Yeah,
what are your
so
thoughts
15.
on the newer Doctors?
I haven't
13 or
watched them.
14?
14. I'm at 14.1 right now. I was thinking that's better than 15.
But we're going to concentrate on doing this hive run now for the moment for the stream.
Mm.
Just
But yeah,
so Martin can do a talk through.
I figure since we have to push so much further, like it kind of compensates for it. I mean, we still initiate at the same time and shit, but
I'm 14.3 now.
Yep. Alright, so we've got Riker and Brett left, and me and Hippie right.
Roger.
And for those that are wondering, me as the Psy will concentrate on the middle and bunching all the spheres up. Hopefully.
Whatever counts as the middle in this clusterfuck
Yeah.
now.
yeah.
His middle, quote unquote.
We all ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed?
Yeah.
Alright. That was everyone, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Start buffing. Start your engines. Go in 3, 2, 1, go.
So much lag on that plasma storm launching out, which makes them guys happy because it's less lag for them. A bit late on my torque volley going that way.
Holy shit. I'm lagging like a mofo.
My abilities are misfiring. It's painful. Martin, don't die on me.
I don't see why you can't aggro the warp course.
Yeah, aggro the warp
I mean,
course.
I'm working on it. I'm trying to come up with a way. That's everything behind us. Someone call a pickle.
Not it.
This
One,
will be 2.
2.
This will be 2.
Yep.
2. All right.
Not
2.
really. No, it's 1.
Okay.
But stick with whatever one you targeted. We should all be targeted on 1, I think. That would have been 2 normally.
We need to just commit to it, though, if it's called. Just never, let's try to, like, avoid recalling in the middle of a thing.
But we were all right on top of 1.
Yeah,
sense.
but most of us had to turn twice, though. Like, Martin, I'm pretty sure, had to do a full turn back around.
Yeah, it's not bad. We'll learn next time.
Yeah.
Beautiful changing the map.
It's always next time.
As we say, have another go.
Yeah, having a go, mate.
Fucking work, god damn it. Fuck.
There she blows.
Yay. Finally.
I didn't have go for the kill on.
That happens.
So is this it?
Well, yeah, I think we're going to go through Martin's build now as well.
Alright, I'm gonna call it a night. I gotta be up at 6 a.m.
No problem. We'll catch you later, Riker.
Alright.
Later.
Guys.
Those are the runs, dude.
Yeah.
Have a good night and thank you for those. Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you.
So I think what we're going to do now is, rather than stay in the normal streaming channel, Martin and a few of the other guys that help out on the build will probably move down to the private channel just so as we can keep it nice and clean for people. If that's all right with everyone.
It's fine
I
with.
didn't realise we were in a streaming channel.
Yeah, but we've got a private channel that's limited access. Unless Martin wants to stay here, we just ask for constructive criticism. That's all.
Okay.
Constructive
Has there been
criticism.
unconstructive criticism?
Yeah, non-constructive criticism would be like, your build sucks, dude.
But it does.
Get on my level.
Yeah, your build sucks, but I don't really know why
Yeah.
your build
Get
sucks.
good.
Yeah, or go. What I mean by that is we're trying not to go off tangent with stories, so keep it to the build. Get good, yeah.
Oh, sorry,
that's
like I
what,
said, when I came in,
Zan
I did not
Access says.
realise. I did not realise we were in the streaming channel. I didn't even notice that, so I didn't realise you were streaming when I came in. So I apologize that I brought it off topic. But we're
That's
not
quite
talking
all
about
right. Don't do it again.
There was this time that Sate found a koala in his house. Just
yeah.
so everybody that's watching knows that. That's
But
a
what he
very real
doesn't
thing.
What he doesn't want anyone to know was it was actually someone he picked up at a furry convention, but shh, she was a midget. Don't tell anyone.
I won't tell you where I got that dog's fluffy tongue right now.
Yeah, is that an actual tongue or is that a toy? It looks
Yeah.
to me
That's
like
his
a
tongue.
toy in that
He's
picture.
licking the camera. But that's
You're
what their tongues look
kidding.
like. Yes.
But anyway, let's move on away from the dogs with their hairy tongues to Martin's build. So Martin.
Okay. So I just dropped a link to the build into chat. So for those that don't care to listen to me explain it, it's there for your review. I will say that this work is in large part derivative of work that other people have put in as far as research and testing, and the biggest contributor being Tenor, of course, who's one of the fleet leaders of temporal operations, and I've enjoyed working with this group, and a lot of that group is still here and they're in this channel right now, and that's good because they actually know a lot more about the underlying mechanics than I do. I was telling them the other night when Ed asked me to do this that I basically just drive the bus. So that said, I can tell you about the bus. And this is the Vaadwaur Miracle Worker Juggernaut. It is a ship that you can get. It's available on all factions. It's available from promo packs traditionally, and typically those are the R&D promo packs. I think the R&D event is still going right now, so if you want to try your hand at it, you can pick them up here. The drop rate has been pretty abysmal lately. It's one of the things that makes these ships so expensive. They sell for anywhere between 1 to normally 1.1 or so billion EC on the exchange. They're not account unlocked. They are something that you only have on the tune that you open up the box on. This is it's a strong ship. I think the majority of at least the HSE top parses are in the Juggernaut now, and a few reasons for that are this is a 5-3 ship, and when we say that, it's got 5 weapons in the front and 3 in the back, and it can equip dual cannons. These are They do significantly more damage per weapon cycle than a single cannon. Single cannons can be equipped on any ship. Dual cannons are limited on what they can be equipped on. We also have not only 5 tactical consoles, but a 6th universal slot. And in my build, I have another tactical console in this slot. Did not realize as we were doing those runs with a tank that I still had 2 colony consoles, but whatever, rip. And the bridge officer seating is also really strong. The only big drawback that I could think of is if you want to run a full aux to bat setup, you're limited to emergency power to weapons 1. This ship has the Juggernaut array ability, and I can't fire it right now because I don't have anything to target, but it shoots a cone of Polaron AoE damage out in front of the ship, and it also significantly pushes back most movable enemies, and if you fire it into a group of, say, spheres in HSE, or a group of really anything, without a strong grav well to pull them back, it will shoot them out a decent distance. And in ISA, where you can end up with groups of spheres that aren't controlled by a gravity well necessarily. It can start to cause firing arc problems as you rocket spheres across the map like billiard balls. The trait that comes along with this guy is called Weapon Emitter Overdrive. And Weapon Emitter Overdrive is when you activate a beam or cannon firing mode for 20 seconds, you get a significant increase to the weapon power cost, but also a 10% increase to your critical chance, your chance to hit critically, and also a significant increase in accuracy. The weapon power cost increase was something that when I originally saw it was a little bit concerning, but there are offsets elsewhere in the build that make this much less of a big deal. Certainly the value of 10% crit H is very strong, and 50% accuracy rating is also strong. And I'll get into that a little bit later, because I didn't fully appreciate exactly what that would mean until recently. This ship flies like a cinder block. Once it's in motion, it tends to want to go in a straight line and keep going. So there are different ways to manage that. Two sort of common ones are the competitive engines, which are on the ship, and I'll show you in a moment, and something like Deft Cannoneer, which I actually used in my record run, only because being able to stay on target means everything. When you blow past your target and have to turn around and all you're doing is turreting things for a while, your DPS drops to basically 0. And just like the cinder block, sometimes when I don't have a comp proc and I'm not running Deft Cannoneer, I'll just run into the side of whatever that I'm shooting at and use that to stop me. Specializations, I am running Intel as primary and Strategist as secondary. Intel has some minor survivability benefits to it in the lower part of the tree, where you get increased damage resist and that sort of thing. The big benefits of Intel are bonus damage, critical hit chance, and critical severity when you're firing at the rear arc of an enemy target. You also get Intelligence Fleet is an ability that's over here. It's an ability with a long cooldown. It's 5 minutes, I believe. But for 30 seconds, you can see here that you get an increase to both shield and armor penetration, which is a pretty big deal. So we try to make sure that we have that up at the beginning of the run. And then I'm running Strategist as a secondary. Strategist can only be run as secondary. It is, for me, really only applicable. They have two different sets of things that this specialization does, depending on whether you are running threatening stance or not running threatening stance. And I've never had occasion to run threatening stance except on a Psi until very recently. I don't even have threatening stance on my ability bars. But when you're not threatening, you get increased critical hit, crit chance. When you're healed, you get increase to energy weapon damage that stacks per the number of energy enemies that you're engaging. You get periodically, depending on how far you are into the tree, 30 or 20 seconds, electrical damage dealt to an enemy that shoots you immunity to torps, which is survivability. That's once every 20 or 30 seconds, I don't remember. And you get a clicky here, diversionary tactics. And the tooltip for that is there. You should be able to read it. It's nice. It helps you drop a little bit of threat. And it offers some increased damage. If you are threatening, I know on this one that it will generate some more threat, and it's also one way that you can help manage bridge officer cooldowns. You can work that in there a little bit. So, Brett, Ed, Hippie, did I forget anything big there so far?
Not really, no.
No?
Not in particular.
Nothing major. I mean, the only thing that I would add as well is with the Intel fleet, isn't that a team buff? So if you have got other people that do have access to Intel fleet, you can roll it around to, with enough of you, with that 30 seconds, you can cover 2 minutes, which if you time it right and you've done a fast hive, you can almost have it for the entire uptime, if I'm not mistaken. It is team buff, isn't it?
That is a good point.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one of the strong points with both. We will run 4 tacks in an HSE, and we can stagger out and, like Ed said, get almost full coverage of the run. Same with Intel Fleet. Only one person can have it active. There's no stacking, but it's also nice because unlike some other things, like when we're not running with a tank and we're trying to stagger our sensor platforms, if 3 of us happen to drop them within a few seconds of each other, there's nothing to prevent us from doing that and leaving part of the run uncovered. If I pop my Intel fleet in a hive, it'll gray out for everybody else. It won't let them burn it for no good reason. That's a very good point. Anything else that you guys can think of with the...
I don't know how to say his name, but in chat, someone asked about your DOFs that you're using.
Is that
Xanaxis, yeah.
So yeah, the DOF loadouts. And also just a brief overview of the weapons and the actual ship loadout. I know people have got the link there, but...
Yeah, no, sorry guys. I did not forget about weapons or consoles or DOFs or consoles or... I'm going to largely breeze through the skill tree, but the... because I have made no attempt to gain deep understanding into the skill tree beyond copying Tenor's skill tree and continuing to use it. But I wanted to pause for a second with what I had talked about so far and make sure I hadn't missed anything, which the team nature of those is worth noting. Skill tree. The skill tree is available in the skill planner link. There is this is, I guess, what you would call a TAC alt skill tree. It gets me down into these extra abilities that I can unlock at the end of the TAC portion of the tree. Some you'll see will only unlock 2 of the 3. If you have to skip one, normally Frenzied Reactions is the one to skip. Frenzied Assault and Team Frenzy are both excellent. There are some things that I didn't know initially with skill trees that's worth just being aware of. The long-range targeting sensors, even though it is a science tree ability, which is populated with a lot of things like shield hardness, shield regen, shield cap. The long-range targeting sensors is maxed out because that plays a large part in the the drop-off in damage that energy weapons are subject to as distance from the target increases. And it's substantial. And we know that it's substantial, not just in part because of what the tooltip says, but because for the longest time the long-range targeting sensor's DOF buff mission was broken, and essentially eliminated the distance penalty, and the gains that we would see without the distance penalty were significant. It was, what, guys, like 20-25%?
More in some cases. We were seeing players that were a 100k player being able to do to 170, 180k difference. So it depends on who actually had the mission. I know in some instances with Riker it was nearly 100k on certain maps. It was ridiculous, and it's good they fixed it.
Yeah, I wish that I would have.
I was going to say the best example I had was on my Psi season 12 with that mission running with its basic Starship Pilot basic Starship Pilot training exercises. That'll give you the buff mission, and it was meant to give you a plus 0.25 skill or something on that, but it was doing 100 times more and giving you like a 25 times bonus or something stupid. They had the decimal point in the wrong place. And the Psi was doing, I think he got 280k on a beam build in a destroyer using non-science abilities, but without that buff, running the exact same build was 120k. So it was stupid the way it could actually boost characters. But anyway, carry on. Go off tangent.
In making up for the distance penalty with cannons has made for a little bit more of a challenging piloting experience, at least for me, because I couldn't just crit that DOF mission and stay far, far back, and that makes it a lot easier to keep three things in the firing arc of CSV as opposed to when you have to be mindful of both not just the keeping the number of targets in the arc, but your distance from them. So for additional information and questions about the skill tree, I would refer any questions to any of the other more knowledgeable people that are in here. I'd be happy to try and answer them when we're done, but I have a feeling we will get more value out of Brett and Hippie and Ed than we will out of me.
What I've done is I've posted a link to Discord a little bit further up in the chat. People are welcome to join Discord. We do have a stove build section in there, and you can post questions in there about the build if you want to, and we can answer them. Or you can drop them into the streaming chat. We can pick them up from there.
And you can ask those questions to the person for whom this ship is named, Blett himself.
What? I just returned. What?
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 What? Wasn't me.
Sounds made up.
Yeah. What?
What?
Okay, so a little bit about the weapons on the ship. I am running primarily in the few regular weapon slots that I have left. I'm running targeting linked phasers at this point. With the release of Tier 6 Rep, the meta shifted from Disruptor to Phaser. The Terran Rep cannons were Disruptor only. Phaser was fortunate enough to get the Terran dual heavy cannons. That combined with a few other things, it's made Phaser the preferred damage type in the meta right now. If you're still running Disruptor, a lot of the stuff is still the same, and unless you are min-maxing as much as possible, it's not it's probably not worth making the resource investment to switch to phaser, because it's costly, not only to go get them, but to upgrade all of them. You have to go get a whole new set of tactical consoles. Yeah. But the targeting linked weapons have a boost to accuracy and a boost to tactical readiness, and the boost to accuracy helps to contribute to accuracy overflow, which I'll touch on in a little bit, and the boost to tactical readiness helps to close the gap a little bit on what with Withering Barrage is a relatively small, but it's still there, gap between the end of Withering Barrage, or the end of your cannon scatter volley, and the next one that you can bring up. Sensor linked phasers is what I was running before. The sensor link have a little bit of defensive on them, and then they have what they call weapon amplification, which is goes to critical severity, or crit D. And the previous meta, which was Spiral Wave Disruptors, was powerful in large part because of the Spiral mod, which is essentially 2 damage mods, plus those weapons included the phaser proc. So those were very strong, and all things equal, they're still great contenders, but it's hard to argue with everything that phaser has going for it right now as far as things to buff it. On my weapons, you will see wherever possible that I've rolled my mods over to crit D, as opposed to the sort of previous wisdom, which was to go with damage, including the epic modifier, which you would typically see as accuracy damage when you first bring the weapon up to epic. Some of these weapons are not remoddable. Unfortunately, the trilithium set, while still worthwhile, can't be re-engineered. It is not a rep weapon, but the Gamma can, the Terran can. The reason that crit D really started to come into vogue here is, and I'm just flipping over to my combat meter, which I will hopefully not crash my stream trying to show.
You just add the window as a source, and
Should be.
There it is. Brilliant.
I work in IT, and the amount of time that it took me to figure out how to do some very simple things with the streaming software is embarrassing to me personally and professionally. And I have brought shame.
Yeah, streaming software is hard, man. Don't feel bad about it.
I've brought shame upon my family.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
Your family's embarrassed with you?
Well, my IT family.
Okay.
Not to worry, we'll give you the instructions next time in a spreadsheet.
Yes, that would be my preferred way to receive them. So, really, a big part of the rise of crit D is the increase in sources of critical hit that are available to us. I mean, you saw Weapon Emitter Overdrive in and of itself is a 10% straight up and down. You check the box and you get 10% more critical hit lands every time. And you can see some of the numbers in this run. And Riker was at almost 66%. I was between 61 and 62. And we didn't. I'm trying to turn that back to how it was. Excellent. We didn't really see numbers like that before, and I wasn't. I was even missing out a little bit on another 4%. Typically, with a tank like that, I would have dropped these last two consoles and slotted 2 more of these vulnerability locators, which would have been another 4%. So critical chance and critical severity are really 2 parts of the same whole, in that the harder each critical hits, the more worthwhile it is to have more critical hit. And so we feed these 2 things and find that the meta has really shifted more towards the crit severity part of the equation, and even away from a bit the category 2 bonus damage part of things. Before I move on from weapons and crit D versus damage and how that factors in with crit hit and all that, anything you guys want to add to that? I'm going to touch on like what I've got going on down here with the rep turrets and all that, and but am I forgetting anything?
Nope.
Why do you use those batteries that you have on your devices?
Yeah, because you've got the 2 different types. You've got targeting locked and energy amplifier.
Yes.
Or preferential targeting, whatever it is, or targeting locked.
Targeting lock and energy amplifier. So the energy amplifier batteries, when you hit one of those, you get 20% bonus damage to energy damage for 20 seconds. And the bonus damage is what we consider to be Cat 2 damage, and for point, it is significantly stronger than Cat 1 damage. And to show you an example of how those 2 things differ in tooltips, if I hover over the energy amplifier battery, you can see where it says 20% bonus energy weapon damage. If I hover over my quantum phase converter, you'll see where it says 26.3% phaser damage, but not bonus phaser damage. Those 2 things come in at different parts of the damage calculation equation, and the positioning in that equation of the category 2 damage makes it much stronger. I have 2 of these because the cooldown on the battery is, what is it, Brett? 30 seconds.
30.
30, yeah.
You can reduce it with DOFs.
And I can, when one battery ends, there's a time period there where I can activate another battery. The other battery that I'm using is targeting lock, and that is another boost to accuracy, which again I'll get into in a little bit.
Jojo Liver said, have you considered using the photonic officer and a half off the bat since you're not using cold-hearted? We've tried that one, haven't we? Some guys have tried using that.
I have not personally.
I haven't tried it.
Yeah, I think Karma was playing around with it, and so was Riker at one point. I'm not sure. I'd have to check on that. I'll find out, and I'll drop a note into the streaming channel on Discord.
I think
I was messing around with it as well.
You were as well. How did it perform? Was it all right or?
If you can get it working in sequence, you have to time your abilities correct. You can run photonic with the help of attrition and the half bat and get it working relatively well. Like, you can close your gaps pretty much consistently, but it's too much like micromanaging for me to like really consider in the middle of a hive run. If I'm trying to like really push the numbers, I might do it, but at the same time, I'm really not sure what other abilities I would swap out other than having like energy weapons 3. That'd be about the only improvement, really.
Yeah, Ox to Bat does have some elegance in its simplicity. And before I touch on cooldown management, let me add to batteries. There is a node along the skill tree here, battery expertise, that increases the duration of your battery effects. That is significant when you are choosing between those two things. The right answer is almost always battery expertise. To increase by 100% the duration of a 20% Cat 2 bonus to all of your energy weapon damage is not something to take lightly, to pass up lightly.
Yeah, and that goes even if you are planning on flying carriers with lots of pets and you do have that hangar option, still go for the batteries.
Yeah, 10% hangar pet health is not really, is not significant when you, especially when you weigh it against the opportunity cost of not doing the battery expertise. For some of the other equipment on the ship, we have the colony deflector. The colony deflector is really strong based on the percentage of your hull at any given time. I'm sitting here, I've got 100% hull. That is true or very close to true a lot of the time in most content. HSE with a tank, it is very often true, and you can see there I get at the very bottom of that list a maximum of 15% crit D and 4% crit H, which is of course nothing to sneeze at, and that 4% crit H plays well with the critical damage, critical severity that's rolled onto the weapons. This is available from the fleet colony world. I don't remember what tier the colony has to be to buy one, but if yours is not at whatever tier that is, temporal operations is, and you're more than welcome to come on over and buy a deflector.
Yeah, just ask us for a map invite and we'll get somebody over to the colony and throw you out an invite.
Yeah,
And
it's
if you
tier
want...
3 or renewable, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say it was tier 3. And also, if you need anything else for any other holdings that you don't have access to due to your fleet level, temporal operations is all right across the board on the Fed side.
Cool. So, next I have a Spire Core. This is from the Fleet Spire holding, and the Spire Core is nice. It's got a reduction in the cost of firing your energy weapons. It also offers resistance to power being drained from your all of your different subsystems, and increase to the power transfer rate, which is how fast they can refill, and the power that you have behind your weapons, your weapon power level, and down for me here, it's this bar right here, and you can see that it's maxed out over cap just sitting here in Sol system at 125. That is sort of the oomph that you have behind each shot of your weapons. And if we look at, say, this targeting linked phaser dual cannon that does 1850 or so damage, as I have it configured right now, if I pull down my weapon power far more than what would be realistic, we should see... Does it still do the thing where the tooltip takes forever to update?
Well, from the actual powers in space applying and things like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it can do.
I believe your weapons in the bottom in your tray down there update instantly.
Yep. I'll be right back.
Do the tooltips of the actual weapons in the slots not update at all?
They're meant to. Bit hit and miss.
They should.
So
Let
that
me
was
try mine real quick.
2061, and I dialed it up, and okay, we could see it come up there. So 2768 at maximum weapon power, and if I pull it down, you can see it dropping there. So that's why weapon power is important. The more of that you have, the harder you're going to hit. That's the kind of thing that I'll forget to fix. Our Spire Core here also has an increase in your damage output per system you have that is at 75 or more power level. Right now that would be my weapons and my auxiliary. When I dump my auxiliary, we will see that zeroes out, but instead of 2 systems that have that requisite power level, I'm now at 3. This is another example of the benefit of running aux to bat, which takes your auxiliary power and dumps it to your other subsystems. So it adds some maneuverability, it adds some survivability in your shields, and it keeps your weapon power up. All of the warp and singularity cores are going to get that W to S mod when they are epic. That takes a certain percentage of your weapon power and essentially bonuses it over to your shield power. The W to A there is weapon to auxiliary, and that is a nice one to pick because it is essentially a loop back into your weapons and all of your other subsystems, because like we saw when I hit the auxiliary to battery ability and dumped the auxiliary power, it spiked up those other power levels. So to have more in auxiliary gives us more to distribute to the other subsystems when we hit auxiliary to battery. Competitive engine and shields. These are from the competitive rep. Now with the advent of RTFOs, competitive marks are fairly easy to come across. The what do you call them? The elite mark. Trying to blank.
Stratagems?
Yes. The stratagems that you get from the competitive rep are more painful because the competitive queues rarely pop anymore. So your best bet for getting that gear is oftentimes to, if you are in the DPS ground channels, that's good. Nobody else is.
I
So just go ahead and turn marks in to get your stratagems.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah. 100 marks and you get one. 20-hour cooldown.
Competitive engine and shield. The two-piece set of this. That's the engine. That's the shield. Gives you an increase to your crit chance, your crit hit. Again, we're seeing just sort of the theme here of many things that are coming into the meta contribute to that critical hit, and so we see crit severity becoming of greater value. The shield also has a proc chance on it to for a short period of time increase your critical hit and critical damage a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. The competitive engine can take a ship even like the Juggernaut, which is not svelte and maneuverable. And I'm going to just fly it here, and I'm going to hit turn. And you can see it's just, I'm actually going to, if I do that, I'm going to turn right into the control zone of ESD, but you can see it doesn't turn very fast. There are 3 different flavors of the competitive engine. There's innervated, fortified, and bolstered. And you can see there's that. Who's that, hippie? Nope, that's just some random dude that demonstrated it for us, though. Exactly what happens when you hit a comp proc on one of these. The difference between the variants is just what activates them. I'm running... Oh, there we go. Nice. Thank you, sir. That was Xanaxis tearing past me there. The different types just varies which type of bridge officer abilities will activate them. I am running the innervated variety, which are activated by tactical abilities, and so what you'll see here is if I hit beam overload, you can see how my turn rate and speed significantly increase. And as soon as the comp proc ends, you can kind of see it lazily slow down and turn back into that very expensive cinder block. So, would recommend, especially with this ship. In my aft weapons here, I have the Trilithium 2-piece. Trilithium 2-piece, unfortunately, the weapon mods on this suck. The damage is okay, the accuracy damage is okay, but not optimal. In an ideal world, we would do the crit D damage there. It's the critical hit that really sucks, and the reason for that is there are better places to get your critical hit than from your weapons, where you can get the significant amount of critical damage to use with your critical hit. You know, you can see other sources starting to emerge of critical hit on this build as we talk about it already in just the colony deflector and in the specializations and the 2-piece from the competitive rep and in some other places that we'll talk about. But Trilithium's got going for it. It's easy to get. It's cheap. It's from Beyond the Nexus, which is in the New Frontier story arc. It has a proc on the turret itself for increased weapon firing cycle haste. But you do get a flat 5% firing cycle haste all the time, just by virtue of having the two pieces of this equipped. The second one that I have equipped is a console. That is the reinforced armaments console. That gives us more power transfer rate and a little bit of survivability in the form of hull restoration and increased hull capacity. Flight speed bonus, always nice. I don't generally shoot for it, but when I see it, especially when I'm flying the Juggernaut, I'm glad to see it there. Anything that helps get me either turned to target or to my target faster is going to be an increase in damage. Phaser turret from the Gamma rep. First of all, your tier 6 rep weapons receive a flat 2% all the time Cat 2 bonus to damage, which is nice and it is welcome. The tooltip here says that when we're shooting at things that are slower than us, we will reduce the damage resistance rating of our target. It was questionable whether that was working for a while. I haven't heard that it's been fixed. Does anybody know if the DRR debuff on the Gamma turret actually works right now?
I don't play this game much anymore, so I have no idea.
I didn't know it ever worked, even sporadically. I thought it was always broken.
Okay. So, in theory, that's nice, but, you know, it may not be working. That said, there are other benefits to it. The other piece of this that I have slotted is the Ordnance Accelerator console. The Ordnance Accelerator has a nice, it's a 25 or 26% Cat 1 boost to phaser damage, which is approaching a tactical console, which is nice to see. The two-piece also adds an additional 10% Cat 1 damage to your phasers. It also does Polaron and one other one that I don't remember. I'm guessing Chronoton, because that's what the projectile is. So that kind of covers weapons. Something that I didn't know when I first started really sort of playing for DPS and just would have liked to have known, and I don't know how big of a deal this makes, but it's good to know. I have these laid out in the order in which I want them to fire, and the reason that the order matters to me is because whatever fires first is getting the maximum benefit of overcapped power. So I want my my hardest hitting front-facing weapons to be firing first and doing the most that they can. And what actually controls the order in which these things fire when you hit the Fire All Weapons button is the order in which you've turned on the auto-fire, the weapons in the tray. So if I turn on the center one here first and then go over to that one, when I hit fire, it's going to fire the center one first and then that one over on the left. So I've got them slotted up there in the order that I want them to fire so that it's easy for me to just tap along here and turn them back on. Temporal Negotiator is from the Delta recruiting event. If you do not have a Delta tune, you are SOL until and when the next time that happens. but it reduces your bridge officer recharge time by 50%, and I use it as part of my opening spike sequence because I burn basically all of my cooldowns on my initial opening spike, and by resetting those cooldowns, it gives me some of those things back faster. I'm primarily an HSE focused player, so the front end of Hive is more conducive to doing significant amounts of damage because it's a multi-target environment. We'll talk about why that is in a minute.
Sorry to interrupt you, Martin. I'm just going to drop down to one of the other channels because one of the guys from the stream wanted to have a chat.
Sounds good. I'm boring Ed. So
No. It was some questions that a guy had at the start of the stream, so we're going to chat about them. I'll be back in a bit.
Okay. Quantum phase converter I hovered over a little bit earlier. Quantum phase converter has a nice boost to category 1 phaser damage. It gives me auxiliary power that I can dump to my other subsystems. This is what I have in this slot because I don't have Domino. This console is from, it's a mission reward. It's from Sunrise in the Future Proof story arc. If you have Domino, that is better than this. If you have Domino, don't use this. Domino is from the 8th anniversary event. If you don't have Domino right now, you cannot get it. Domino has a slightly lesser Cat 1 damage boost, but it includes a passive boost to accuracy. And it also has a clicky that includes a boost to firing, cycle haste. It's ridiculous. Bonus damage, recharge time, speed for DOFs. It's a very strong console. Another one of those that's on here is Dynamic Power Redistributor Module, or DPRM, also sometimes referred to as DRPM or DPRMS, or I don't know, Hippie, what else we've heard it called, but that's DPRM. DPRM is fairly easy to get if you are Romulan or KDF. Then you just buy it from a box, or you buy a box off the exchange, and life is good. If you are on the Fed side, you're screwed. It is from a lockbox ship, and you have to buy the ship to get the console. It has a Cat 1 boost to all directed energy damage, which would be beams or cannons, and also a bonus to your damage resistance, which is nice. When you click on it, you start 20 seconds of an additional 100 bonus damage resistance, 500% hull regeneration, and while you're above 80% hull, which will generally, if you are not, will happen pretty quickly after you click on the DPRM console, you get 40% Cat 2 bonus damage. That is huge, and standing alone, even without the set bonus, it is one of the strongest and most desirable consoles in the game. Stacked with its with another console from the set, it includes a 33% Category 1 damage boost to phaser, disruptor, and plasma damage. So this is one of those nice things that phaser and disruptor both have going for them, is that two-piece set bonus. I've slotted as its companion console. There are others out there, but I slotted the Point Defense Bombardment Warhead because it is a DPS console. It's got some critical chance as its passive, and its clicky launches a warhead that, if it shows up on a parse for you, that'll be great. But it's really slow moving, and it doesn't make it where you shoot it very often before whatever you're shooting at is dead. I will normally fire it into the center of the initial cluster of spheres in Hive, and it's generally back up by the end of the run, and not always anymore, but I would fire it into one of the pickles or the queen. Something long-lived. The spheres, because as it travels on its way there, it does damage to the things that it passes by in transit. This one is another one where straight fed characters get screwed. For you guys, it's off of the NX Escort refit, which is a Lobby ship. For Romulans and KDF, it's still Lobby, but it's a Lobby box. It's half the Lobby cost than as compared to the full-blown ship, and you can pick the box up on the exchange. It's fairly reasonable. Weapon Sensor Enhancer. Weapon Sensor Enhancer has survivability to it in the hull plating, and it's got a significant amount of accuracy to it. This console is from the Lobby store. And for accuracy overflow purposes, if you don't have the Lobby, you can pick up something like Hostile Acquisition to fill that slot. It'd be an option. I go back and forth on how I feel about this console, because it is there solely for its accuracy overflow purposes. I'm gonna move away from the consoles for a moment to talk about the accuracy overflow part of this. I will talk about the tactical consoles down at the bottom in a moment, but I want to hit accuracy overflow for a minute. Before I do that, on any of these things that I've talked about so far, Brett, Hippie, are you guys anything that you guys want to add?
I think we should do another HSC and then continue the build, so you can, people can see what you've been talking about and how it's being put to work.
I'd finish off the console first, probably.
I guess.
Instead of stopping halfway through something.
Yeah.
Okay. So, accuracy overflow. I'm going to throw a link into Stream Chat if I can find where I put it. There it is. Okay. Accuracy comes into play as the direct opposite statistic to your target's defense rating. And the higher your accuracy, if your accuracy is lower than, let's put it this way, the defense rating of what you're shooting at, you have a certain chance to miss your target. If you have 0 accuracy and your target were to have 100 defense rating, your chance to hit would be 25%. your chance to hit can't go below 25%. It also can't go above 100%. So if you have 100 accuracy and your target has 100 defense, your chance to hit would be 100%. So what happens when you're at 101 accuracy? Your weapons aren't firing more shots, but something is happening with that statistic. And what happens is a combination of math and sorcery, and there's a more detailed and in-depth discussion at that link that I sent. But suffice to say that when your accuracy is greater than your target's defense, you start to see a bonus to your critical hit and critical severity. And it's not crazy huge, but it is material and worth being aware of. And in the case of this build, it adds it adds some additional punch. Some of the things that are worth knowing about accuracy and overflow. This particular topic applies only really to cannons. Beam fire at will is subject to to the rules of accuracy up to the ratio being 1-to-1, where your accuracy and the target's defense are the same, but beam fire at will doesn't realize the benefits of accuracy overflow. Torp spread always has a 100% chance to hit. It gains no bonus from accuracy overflow. It is only in cannons, when we start talking about cannon scatter volley, especially, that your accuracy overflow comes into play. Cannon scatter volley decreases your accuracy. It allows you to fire at up to 3 targets simultaneously, and above the lieutenant or rank 1 of the ability, it also increases the damage output of the weapon. So if we look at rank 3 here, you can see I've got attacks dealing 100%, 110% of their normal damage, and I have 30 removed from my my accuracy rating. If I were to go down and look at Scatter Volley 1, makes a little cleaner tooltip there. You see that I don't get the damage bonus, and I take a bigger hit on my my accuracy reduction. So, excuse me for a moment. All right. So the scaled up damage and reduced accuracy penalty, moving up the tiers of something like Cannon Scatter Volley, are really worthwhile. Other thing worth knowing about defense rating is moving enemies have increased defense ratings, as do players. So if you need some additional survivability and you are able to pilot proficiently enough just by moving faster, you can reduce the amount of hits that you take in from the enemy. This is challenging on cannon boats because of their limited firing arcs, but it's worth knowing, and you don't have to be going crazy fast to realize an increase in your defense ratings. So that is at a very basic level, but damn near to the limit of my understanding, accuracy overflow with a link to more information. So there's a question here from Beep Beep. What was the console we should get if we don't have the one you have again? I'm guessing, Beep Beep, that you are talking about when I was looking at this guy, the quantum phase converter, and I said, if you have console A, don't use this console. Is this the one you're talking about? And I said, maybe mentioned Domino. Okay. Yeah, so I don't have Domino, so this is my slot filler. So if you have Domino, use that, not this.
It's a very nice console for those who do actually have it.
Do you have it?
I do.
You son of a bitch. But yes, it is a very nice console. Weapon sensor enhancer, if you don't have it and you want to try out accuracy overflow, you can go pick up a hostile acquisition console. I don't know that I have one on this tune to show you. If I do, it's going to be in the bank. No. That one has an even higher accuracy rating. It's like 80 something.
I believe it's 30, not 80.
Really?
I'll go check, actually. I believe it's lower.
I might be thinking of some other entirely different statistic. But Hippie's going to go fact check me. Okay, and BB says 30. So hostile acquisition is an option for you, but you're starting to see, a drop off compared to some other things that maybe you could slot in that slot, like BIC would be an option.
All right, there you are. All right, here's Hotstyle. I'm going to PM it to you. And then I'm also going to PM you Domino to be a dick.
Eat a dick. And yes, Hippies confirmed several minutes after other people in the stream have confirmed that Hostile is 30.
Yeah, but that's the actual tooltip.
Ah, you are an actual tooltip.
That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all night. Thank you.
All right. So, anything that you want to add, Hippie or Brad, about accuracy overflow, alternatives to?
I'm pretty sure for the accuracy overflow for the Stowe build thing, that's actually contested right now, in terms of actually being incorrect. People reference a interview with Jupiter Broadcasting about an old chart that they did, where they interviewed the guy and he talked about accuracy overflow, and it was the guy that programmed it. Now, whether or not they changed the formula between now and then, which is unlikely, but I believe what he says counteracts the argument that they have in terms of accuracy.
What I've
go.
No, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
I was just I know there was some debate on that, and somebody showed a portion of a stream with a dev, and because the argument was, is it a a flat line increase, or is it a diminishing return curve? And I thought it was a flat, for each extra point of accuracy, you end up gaining the same amount of severity and chance, was what it worked out to be based on an interview with a dev. Is that what you were referencing?
Yeah, I believe that's what Riker brought up to me, and I've heard it, I think, in the 10K channel as well. But it was worked down to like 2 points of accuracy. For each 2 points, it worked down to like 0.025 or something in terms of crit chance, or something like that.
Did I
In
link the
terms of like a
diminishing
flat
return
line.
one?
I believe that's the one they use on stow builds. Is if you have 1,000 accuracy, which is unobtainable, you get something like what is it? Where's their accuracy example? Yeah, if you have 1,000 accuracy above their defense, it's 12.5 and 50 crit severity. So that seems a little bit ridiculous in terms of stow math, even that you'd require such a high number.
Do you have a link to the other math?
Let me find the Jupiter Broadcasting. The problem is Jupiter Broadcasting, they haven't been broadcasting stoked forever.
It's
So
old.
all of their stuff is basically offline for
Yeah.
like any of their charts and everything. You
Yeah,
only
they've-
have the actual video.
Plus
Okay.
the guy's now a dev now.
Yeah, it was stoked 76. I'll DM it to you again. Or DM it to you, I guess, on
Well, I mean, we can throw that into stream chat, and that can be another piece of content for people to watch. Hippie's right. That is my link is the diminishing returns theory. I believe that the flat rate increase to severity and chance is that's actually the assumption that I've been operating under, but Hippie's link is the right link. My link gives what we don't think is the right math. So there is some interesting sorcery math on my link, and then there's also other probably more correct sorcery math in Certifiably Mediocre's link. Thanks, Hippie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
I'm
have
back, by the
Domino?
way, sorry about that.
Do I have Domino?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well then we can both hate Nutter for having it.
Definitely.
Oh, for
Ignore
sure.
the fact that I linked it to you earlier.
Welcome back, Ed.
Thank you.
Starship traits. Oh, tactical consoles. Yeah. So I've got two different types of tactical consoles here. There are consoles out there that do things like what you see on DPRM here, where it says 19% directed energy damage. You know, there are like beams consoles and cannon consoles. I don't have any to show you because if you're running for DPS, then don't be that guy. You should be running all the same energy damage type, unless you are running Disruptor, in which case you get a pass to run no, I'm sorry. Unless you're running Phaser and aren't Tier 6 in Terran yet, in which case you get a pass to run the Phaser. Terran weapon until you get to Tier 6. But your vulnerability locators come from the Fleet Spire. They offer almost 40% at Mark 15 Epic of Cat 1 damage boost to your weapon damage type of choice, plus 2% critical chance. Again, we see another source of critical hit. 2, 4, 6, 8. If I were running with a tank in Hive, that's 10, 12% crit H, plus whatever. It's like 240% Cat 1 phaser damage. That's a lot. The other type of console that you see here are available from the colony world. Your colony needs to be maxed out at tier 5 renewable energy to pick these guys up. These retain the same amount of Cat 1 phaser damage, but they drop the critical chance stat increase for what for me is not particularly useful projectile weapon damage increase. What these are really for are these are healing consoles. That chance to gain a stack of healing when activating firing modes for energy weapons. And these are an easy way to dial survivability up and down on a build. If I am going into really challenging content with no tank, I can add more of these. And I have enough of them to fill every single one of these tactical slots, plus the universal slot if I really need to, with the colony consoles, as they're typically referred to. The special firing modes would be things like cannon scatter volley, cannon rapid fire, beam overload. And that is one of the main reasons that beam overload is here on this build that has no beams. It does not share a cooldown with my other firing modes, so I can activate it and not put my scatter volley and rapid fire on cooldown. It has a chance to proc my my colony consoles for the additional healing, plus I can use it to proc my competitive engines. Those are great consoles. Would recommend. If you don't have the necessary fleet credits and dilithium to be like me and have an entire set of each, I would recommend picking up a mix, a nice balance between the two of them. Pick up 2, or if you're new and super cautious and have survivability concerns, you could pick up 3 of the colony consoles and 2 Spire consoles. However you want to do that.
I mentioned you missed the second science console.
It was Ordnance Accelerator. We touched on it earlier.
There you go.
There's Ordnance Accelerator. That's the second piece of the 2-piece from the Gamma set. Ties up with my Gamma turret. And there is Reinforced Armaments, the second piece of my Trilithium set. Ties up with my Trilithium turret.
Yeah, and also Jojo Lai said, how did you decide the order of the slot is on your cannon? So I sort of replied saying that it's based on the chance of the proc, the mods on the weapons, and the advantage of that weapon having a higher power going out and doing more damage puts it first in the cycle. But what other caveats are there that you know of?
Well,
that would put a weapon at the front.
It is a lot to do with what the weapon's potential damage output is. You want your weapons that are gonna potentially deal the highest damage up front there. It may be easier to look at it down here. That's one's 4218, 4157. In the case of the Trilithium weapon, it's kind of the opposite. That guy doesn't hit as hard as my other turrets, but I want to give it the best chance that I can to proc that firing cycle haste, because 10% firing cycle haste is a 10% final damage multiplier, basically. You can't do much better than having your weapons have all of their buffs and all of their all the Cat 1 damage, all the critical severity, all the Cat 2 damage, plus you're going to have them fire 10% faster. that's good stuff. But really, what I did was I put a lot of thought into this, and I asked Tenor, and I did what he said. And
The answer is just Tenor.
I just drive the bus, man.
So when the bus breaks down, it's going nowhere. Oh dear.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, you know. So, that's really where that comes into play. It's also a matter of a little bit of testing in terms of things like Prolonged, where that should be in the list, because Prolonged has that scaling damage increase over time where it starts off handicapped, but the longer you're in combat increases until it's stronger than the other typical sort of dual cannons that you would see. So I'm going to go with a combination of all of the above, but mostly thank you, Tenor.
Also, well, I know it's Martin's stream at the moment and he's streaming away, but just want to remind people that if they're enjoying what they're watching, hit the follow button and follow the channel, because we are going to be featuring some other builds. I'll be going over the Eternal build later on and explaining how we put that together to exploit the exotic damage and exploit the exotic effect of torpedoes. So if you've got any side tunes out there that you want to get more damage out of, then by all means give us a follow. I'm sure we've also got a couple of engineers that we can discuss as well, and some other different ships. You know, we're not going to do every single ship in game because there's just too many. But the majority of the major popular ones, yeah, it's about 500-600 now. Yeah, you can have that one, Nutter. You can go off and do that one. Knock yourself out. Come back to us when it's done.
I think Brad talked about going over a shuttle build later.
Yes, most definite.
All right, well, you heard the man. Come back later for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark. Brett's going to be on next week with his 400k DPS Hive temporal time ship shuttle build. What's that? 458k or 4.5k or 4k, or just 4.5? Yeah, 4.5. That'll do. Yeah,
the shuttle that I currently have has 2 forward weapons and 0 aft weapons, so it's gonna be quite a thing, quite a show.
But yeah, we've lost the numbers from the channel to be able to show you another hive. We might be able to pick up a 5th from somewhere.
We might be able to do that. I haven't been keeping a great eye on stream chat. I've been mostly listening to the sound of my own voice.
Oh no, Hippie's done a brilliant job.
Well, and thank you for picking up those last couple. I did see a question from Outlaw Viper. He's waiting for an upgrade weekend to get some stuff up to Mark 14 from Mark 12.
Quite
and what will he see as far as an increase between those two? And Ed's answer is spot on. A lot. The big increase in damage output of your weapons comes from an increase in mark, not an increase in rarity. If you have the opportunity to run, a Mark 14 weapon of a lower rarity than your Mark 12 weapon, you should, unless you have to break a crazy good set bonus or something to do it, you should run the lower rarity Mark 14.
One of the best examples I can put in here, Martin, was my Riemann, when he was level 53, was running with Mark 12 purple weapons. Most of his consoles were between Mark 7 and Mark 10. purple, nothing over Mark 10 purple, and the toon was doing around about 53k at level 53. They're just moving up to level 65. There wasn't much difference, but once I put all of the equipment to Mark 15, I will admit I did get it to epic. That toon moved up to over 200k from 58. So there was a threefold increase, but also some of that is piloting and timing. So that has to develop along with the weaponry as well. And if you've got that, then that's an added bonus.
Yeah, I'm off for the night, guys. Have fun.
No problem, Kirby. Have fun.
Yeah.
See ya.
Later, Kirby.
Later.
Check out Teacher Kirby's YouTube channel, by the way.
Well, thank you. There will be a new release on April 1st. Special video.
Do you have a link
heard
that
it
you
here
could
first.
drop into stream chat to your YouTube channel?
I'll drop it in.
YouTube.com/TeacherKirby.
And if there's any instructions on our April 1st video, don't follow them, because it'll be followed by one on April 2nd called You're an April Fool.
That is sage advice right there.
There you go. Have a good night.
Later, Kirby. I was hoping that I had a weapon. Like, I was hoping that I had a not 15 sense, version of something that I have on this toon handy, where I could show the difference between those two. I don't know that I have one of those available without deviating significantly from what we're doing right now, but I can answer that question at the end of stream if you'd like, by getting numbers for comparison, unless, Hippie, you have something you can look at in inventory.
Not on its own.
Okay. Some of the STO wiki weapon pages and that sort of thing have started to be updated with what things look like at different mark and rarity. You might be able to find examples there too.
I believe there's one calculated off of base damage, and I think it's something like 50% from the 2 marks.
I saw a graph
I'd
of this at one point, and it was dramatic. I was looking for it a minute ago, but I couldn't quickly find it.
Yeah.
Okay. Starship traits, and I'm going to just sort of keep the pace up because it's starting to get advanced in an hour here. But with a tank where I'm not super concerned about survivability, I'm using Calm Before the Storm. Calm Before the Storm, over 20 seconds you build up stacks that give you a bonus damage resistance rating, so some survivability. As soon as you hit 10 stacks, you immediately drop all of the stacks of Calm, which drops the damage resistance, but for 20 seconds gives you 33% firing cycle haste and 33% faster cooldowns on your bridge officer abilities. This is a strong trait that displaced some other pretty strong traits. This is from the Cardassian Intel Flight Deck Cruiser. It is a cross-faction ship available in the C-Store. If you leave combat, you will drop all of the stacks of that. We have Emergency Weapon Cycle. Emergency Weapon Cycle will reduce your weapon power cost and give you a boost to firing cycle haste when you use emergency power to weapons. This is one of the basically must-have traits for energy DPS, beams or cannons. This is from the Arbiter for Fed tunes in the C-Store, and Morrigu or something is the Romulan equivalent, and nobody plays KDF. I don't know.
Facts.
Yes. I'm going to skip go for the kill. I'll come back to that one in a minute. Withering Barrage. Withering Barrage extends the duration of Cannon Scatter Volley by a flat 4 seconds. By default, it is a 10-second ability. This takes it up to 14 seconds, and brings you close to, with cooldown management, 100% uptime on Scatter Volley. It is way better than its beam's equivalent of redirecting arrays. Withering Barrage is from the T6 Defiant, T6 Tactical Escort for Feds in the C-Store. Weapon Emitter Overdrive, we talked about. Weapon Emitter Overdrive is from this ship. It is from the Vaadwaur Juggernaut. And it's the one that gives us more accuracy, more critical chance, but also increases your weapon power drain. We have lots of ways of mitigating that weapon power drain, so it's not so concerning. When I need more survivability, this is what I drop, and I will slot in Invincible. Invincible is from the Zal. It is a Lobby ship, and it makes you briefly unkillable once every 2 minutes, and it's great when you accidentally eat multiple warp cores because for some reason Hippie doesn't, keep you alive. So there's Invincible. Superior Area Denial is another good one. That is from the Mirror Escort Carrier, the Mirror Angle Carrier that is in the Infinity Lockbox. It is kind of like a poor man's Cold Hearted. You can't get Cold Hearted if you don't have it. It was from the 2017 Winter event. Both of them give a damage resistance debuff to the targets that you hit, but Cold Hearted is stronger, and Cold Hearted also has it slows the enemy and counts as a control effect, which boosts damage from one of the other common things that you'll see on builds that I'll show you in a second. Go for the kill. So this is, if your budget is one promo ship, then this is a budget build. And if you can't go beyond that, then you're fucked, because Go for the Kill is a second promo ship that you get just for the trait. Go for the Kill is from the Jem'Hadar Strike ship. It is another promo ship. You are more than welcome to buy the one that I have on the exchange right now for 1.1 billion. And then you too can have Go for the Kill. It increases the duration of your cannon rapid fire ability. Periodically, as you score critical hits on your enemies. With a build like this, with a critical percentage where it's at, I have no problem getting the maximum duration out of cannon rapid fire. If you don't want to go after a promo ship for Go for the Kill, you could slot another good general purpose DPS trait, something like Promise of Ferocity, which is a stacking Cat 2 bonus up to 20%. That is triggered when you're using pilot or tactical bridge officer abilities. Another good use for my dummy beam overload proc here. That is my starship traits. Personal space traits, I change these around constantly depending on what I'm doing. So right before we started doing runs, I made a change from what I was running at the time of the build that I put up there. But a good day to die lets you use go down fighting at any percentage hull. Normally you have to be below, I think, 50% hull.
Yeah, usually below 50%.
Yeah.
And the scaling of the buff that it gives you increases the closer you get to 0. And one of the old metas was that you'd run invincible to get to 0, to get a 0% go down fighting, which would give you 100% benefit on the actual buff. But that's fallen by the wayside now. Well, it hasn't really, but it's sort of not that important.
But then
You have better stuff.
You should be able to just be invincible all the time.
Yeah, but they played around with all of that because there was a load of procs that used to happen with a load of the pilot ships and all the pilot stuff, and there was so many immunities going on, and it was just getting ridiculous. And I'm glad they sorted it all out. But I think the reason, as Martin's probably going to explain in a minute, the reason why he's got a good day to die there is with a tank, you'd very rarely get down to the point where you can actually utilize that big bonus advantage. So he's probably got it there to take advantage of it.
With a good tank.
Yeah, with a good tank.
So MB.
Yeah, we do know some pseudo tanks.
I like the fake tank.
Paper tanks.
Yeah,
they're made out of cardboard and painted to look like one, but they're not. That's me as well. I do that. I pseudo tank. I'll take this one. Oh, I'm gonna blow up. Someone take the aggro.
What healing abilities?
My healing ability is called evasive maneuvers.
That used to be a thing where you would deliberately eat a warp core breach or something to get your hull down low enough that you could activate a good day to die. This trait allows you to avoid that, and that's good because we have other things on the build that do better in the reverse, where the higher the hull, the more performance you see. Things like DPRM that give you that significant Cat 2 bonus when your hull is above 80%. Things like the Colony Deflector that scale its critical performance with your hull. We don't need to do the things that we did before to get go down fighting to be available for us.
Yeah, you're still trying to break those habits, aren't you? The workforce?
Well, it's I will have that down pat if for some reason things, the situation reverses and I need to go for lower hull again. Anchored is when you're stationary, you're gaining Cat 2 bonus, but you are losing damage resistance. As soon as you start moving, you break that effect and things return back to baseline. This is useful in periods of HSE. I mean, there are times, especially at the beginning, where I can park long enough to gain a stack or two of anchored. And then at the end, when we're firing on the Pickles and on the Queen, can get anchored going there. And it's nice because just by moving, I can break the effect of the reduction in damage resistance.
Yeah, Beep Beep said, no cannon training, interesting.
It is interesting.
The reason for that probably could be that there might be a potential. Going back again to diminishing returns, with Cat 1, you do reach a point of saturation. And it could be that just by slotting that, you've reached that point of saturation that you're actually going to benefit more by slotting something that's going to do a Cat 2.
It's because my cannon training is too good for
Yeah,
BB's
his is
cannon
superior.
training.
That's
It is
why.
superior.
But there are instances where you would sometimes avoid slotting something that does do damage because you are going to saturate in that category. And Cat 1 is easy to saturate because everything will give you damage to this, damage to that through the game. You think all of your consoles, if you're running the consoles from the fleet, all of those are going to be Cat 1, and you do reach a point of diminishing returns with them, as Martin mentioned previously. So sometimes it's easier to switch to Cat 2 damage. It's got a much higher threshold, or we seem to not have found, so much diminish at the top. It's still there, but it's not as great.
So, cannon training, beam training, projectile, these come along with your tune. They are, at least the cannon training is 5% Cat 2 bonus, or Cat 2 damage increase. The superior version, which you can pick up from your fleet's K-13 holding, increases that to 7.5%. It's a 2.5 increase, and those traits are, if I recall correctly, not super cheap. So it's not
they are expensive.
Not the first thing I would go after. But again, when you're going for the absolute maximum you can output, it's there.
The other thing to take into consideration that when you are building a tune like this and you are getting all the bits from fleet and you're doing your upgrading, you do reach a point like I have with some tunes where you just have you in order to grow your fleet you have to donate. You're getting the fleet credits, and you get to a point where you've got nothing to spend them on, and that's the point at which you then go, right, I need these extra, build ups on these and to modify them a bit, and these extra slots, and that's the way I did it. I think it's the way most people have done it.
Yeah, there's definitely competition for resources. Especially when you are wholly or partially responsible for the development of the holdings on the fleet, then you have to make difficult choices between developing your tune and developing the fleet. I think the way to win that we found was to convince Boozin to develop the fleet.
Yeah. Boozin, grind ground maps. We need revisions.
All right. And there was Boozin doing colony sims forever and ever.
Yeah, we gave him the rank of Master Drill Sergeant. It was on ground so much.
So Anchored is one where I can dial it in just by moving. I can break the bonus damage, but also break the damage resistance penalty. That damage resistance penalty of -20 doesn't sound like much, but it is stiff. When you take into account also the fact that you are stationary, and therefore your defense is, your defense at rest is lower than your defense in motion. Anchored can be dangerous when you get into a situation where you start taking a lot of damage. Context is for Kings. The system does this one automatically. Context is for Kings. When you're taking damage, you get damage resistance. When you're not taking damage, you get Cat 2 damage increase. It's a simple one. Deft Cannoneer can be nice in the Juggernaut. Inertia is basically what does it take to bring your ship to rest. Or inertia is how much does your ship want to keep moving or stay at rest when it is in the opposite state. And Deft Cannoneer helps to help you stop or help you go. And the flight turn rate +1 is a significant increase when you're looking at an increase from 6 to 7 on your turn rate. It may not make much of a difference if you're flying a pilot escort, but when you're flying a brick, it helps. Deft Cannoneer you get at level 15 of the Cannons R&D School. Fleet Coordinator. When you're on a team, 5 people, you get 10% Cat 2. When you're by yourself, it's 2% Cat 2. So it scales. It is good to have. Fluidic Raccoon. I like this one. Unfortunately, with a tank, I don't tend to take as much kinetic damage. I don't tend to get as much use out of Fluidic.
Debatable.
Well, yeah. Maybe. Intense Focus. This is a stacking in combat. You gain additional accuracy and shield penetration. The accuracy on this one is nice. The shield penetration is what really makes it worthwhile. Shields getting in the way of your weapon fire are probably the most significant reduction in actual damage that reaches your enemy that you can have. So getting through more of the shields is a good thing. Point Blank Shot. Point Blank Shot is a Cat 2 damage increase based on proximity to your target. This one plays nicely with my narrow sensor bands, which you can see also is a Cat 2 bonus damage increase based on proximity to the target. Narrow sensor bands also brings accuracy to the table. So this build favors me getting in closer to things, and that's why if you were watching any of the runs, you would see I would get up right next to the Pickle, and I would get as close as I could to the Queen without getting inside the danger zone there. Repair Cruise is exactly what it sounds like. Point Blank comes from a mission. It's one that you can't buy off the exchange, but I don't remember which mission. Do you, Hippie? It's not like House Peg or something, is it?
But I think it's from the. No, I don't think it's from the New Frontiers. It's from like. Yesterday? No. Conian War Arc, I think, maybe.
That could be the one where you have to go in and kill what's her name, and you've got Kalis with you.
Yeah, Point Blank Shot. You were right. The House Peg from the Iconian War Arc.
Oh, there you go. So there's that. Self-modulating fire, more shield pen, more benefit to critical hit. You can just see how these different things feed into each other. You get more critical hits, you get more go for the kill, you get more shots out with go for the kill, you get more critical hits that land, it increases the duration of go for the kill, you get more shield pen. Life is good. We talked about superior cannon training. That is it for personal space traits. There are several others in here that are worth running situationally. Give Your All, which is from rank 15 of the engineering school, is another good way to add some survivability. If I was concerned with survivability, I might drop Anchored and slot Give Your All. Because if I'm worried about dying, I probably don't need a damage resistance penalty. Same with, I keep pseudo submission around for the same reason. Helps stop enemies from shooting you. That's I think most of the good ones there. Space Rep. There's not too much to touch on here. It's all pretty self-explanatory and on the build. Crit severity. That's an easy one. Damage against controlled targets, controlled countermeasures, 9.4% at rank 2, which you unlock when you hit tier 6. Bonus, energy weapon against controlled targets. Controlled targets can be things that are obviously controlled, like stuck in Ed's Gravwell, or they can be less obviously controlled. For example, they could be under the slow effect of Hippie's cold-hearted trait that we touched on a little bit earlier. So controlled countermeasures is good when you have targets affected by things like that. Shield pen, magnified firepower at rank 2, 6.3% Cat 2 bonus weapon damage. Precision, rank 2, critical hit. Pretty much the things that you would expect. Active rep, few of the, some of these are space, some of them are ground. Of the space ones, only a few are DPS relevant. They're pretty obvious. Anti-time, wheel proc, controlled countermeasures. I've got a little bit of survivability there. Sensor interference platform is nice to get things to shoot at your sensor interference platform instead of you for a little while. Normally that happens because Hippie's tank won't hold aggro.
Can confirm.
Feels bad. Refracting Tetryon Cascade. It's an AoE. DPS ability, nice to have. Quantum Singularity Manipulation. Ed will talk a little bit more about this from a science perspective when he does his build, because it has benefits specific to size and what this plus 125 to size stats means. For DPS people, the cloak for 5 seconds is nice, because again, it stops things from shooting at you for 5 seconds. It used to be a significant survival tool in HSE until Cryptic took what was a difficult queue and wrecked it. So that is traits. The abilities over here are not much that's... I don't think this is worth covering in individual detail. They're pretty straightforward in what they do. And we've talked about some of the big players. The one worth mentioning is Aux to Bat. And what I'd like to show you is watch what happens when I hit Beam Overload here. And it starts a timer. 22 seconds. As soon as I hit Auxiliary to Battery, it's going to drop. I'm at 17, 16. Aux to Bat, I'm at 8. You can see it cut the cooldown time of that ability in half, and makes Beam Overload available to me again much faster. This is another benefit of running Aux to Bat beyond increasing those subsystem power things, which again, remember, increases the damage bonus that you get from your Spire Core. So you, instead of getting, my current total at 6.6, I get 9.9 because Aux to Bat is going to put these three up to above 75 power level. This is half of the equation. The other half are active space duty officers. These guys here, technicians. You can grind some mission that I've never done or something to get technicians. You can buy them off the exchange. That's the route that I've gone. You want 3 of them. Blues will do. Purples are better. These actually are the guys that cause that reduction in cooldown when you hit Ox to Bat. If you don't have the technicians and you run Ox to Bat, you will not get the cooldown management, which is the major benefit. You'll still see the different power levels jump up, but you won't see the cooldowns come down. So don't forget your technicians. Last ones that I have, Agent Nerul, when you are under the effects of attack pattern beta over here and you are firing your weapons, it restores hull, so it's a little bit of survivability. Agent Nerul came along with one of the bundles. You don't happen to know which one it is, do you, Hippie?
Delta.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Delta 1.
Okay. So you got that guy, and then these guys come out of the Delta Bridge Officer packs, I believe. More emphasis on crit chance, more emphasis on crit severity. When you're firing, you have a chance to get an increase in your critical chance and critical severity. Blues on these also will do. They are significantly cheaper than the purples on the exchange. Those guys can be, especially I think for the chance ones, very expensive.
And on stream, where is it? Fox Mulder has said, why not Zmok over Nerul? Reason is that Zmok, the way that Zmok works is he affects the cooldowns of an attack pattern, but you need to run multiples of them, and it works best when using beta and gamma. So, sorry, beta and omega. So when you actually pop beta, you'll watch if you haven't got Zmok, you'll see that the cooldown goes to its universal, and you've got this 15-second window between them, so there's no point in having the omega there. But when you've got Zmok in place, it drops the cooldown to 15 seconds on omega, and the cooldown on beta starts its 30-second rundown. 15 seconds later, you pop omega, and the cooldown instantly drops to 15 seconds, maybe just below on beta. And then omega runs out, you pop beta, and then omega drops to 15. So you end up with rolling 15 seconds between omega and beta. No point having it on a single copy of beta. It's just not going to do anything. So you won't get any procs of it. So it's probably why he's not using it.
Also, we're pretty much taking beta to global, aren't we, with Oxpat?
Yeah.
With Oxtabat, it will be at global, so there's no point in running it. But it's not to say it don't work. I still use the Zmok Gemro 2 copies with a beta omega on my Riemann, and I'm still pulling good numbers with it. The old metas, if you are using them, they still do work.
I will drop a link as well into stream chat there for the cooldown calculator. That can be helpful to understand what options there are to manage your cooldowns, as well as how effective what you're doing is. One of the things that I see a lot in builds is I say to people, how do you manage your cooldowns? The overwhelming response is silence. But then the second most common response is, well, I'm using this to cool that down that, and this to cool down that, and this to cool down that, and I'm giving up all of these different slots and abilities and traits and all that. My entire cooldown management is handled neatly by these 3 duty officers and those 2 abilities that also give me increased power in all 3 of these subsystems, increased damage output. It is very clean. Agent Nerul is also a heal doff. Zmok is a cooldown doff. So the technicians in Zmok are more of a an apples to apples comparison than Agent Nerul. I don't think I have much else to cover. I feel like I've been talking for a very long time.
Very comprehensive.
And if you guys have any questions, I would love to give Hippie a chance to answer those.
All right. I have a question. Martin, why don't you use the emergency con hologram to get more maneuverability on your jug?
You know that bus you were driving, Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just thrown Hippie under it.
That's actually not my bus. That's Karma's semi.
He's turning around to come back and take a photograph. So people on the other road, on the other lane, just watch out. He's on his way.
Oh, well, good thing I'm fucking dead then.
So, Hippie, how are you going to answer your own question?
I don't know. How am I, Martin?
Because you have the competitive engine, dude.
Yeah, you can never have enough maneuverability, though. What if my comp proc's down?
What if you got good?
I need to turn around. I'm within 10k of you